The story of Elisa Lam is one of the most famous and at the same time most mysterious tragedies in modern crime history. Her disappearance, her behavior captured on CCTV cameras, and the subsequent discovery of her body in a water tank on the roof of a hotel in downtown Los Angeles have given rise to endless discussions, hypotheses, and conspiracy theories. There are practically no obvious answers in this story. What began as another message about a missing person quickly grew into an internet phenomenon and became a subject of study for journalists, criminologists, psychologists, and those who believe in mysticism. Elisa Lam was born on April 30th, 1991, in Vancouver, Canada, to a family of immigrants from Hong Kong. She studied at the University of British Columbia and led an active life in the blogosphere. On Tumblr and other platforms, she posted thoughts on depression, loneliness, literature, and her mental states. According to her parents and friends, she had episodes of manic activity and depressive phases. The girl suffered from bipolar disorder, which, however, was treated with medication. In January 2013, Elisa decided to take an independent trip to California. It was supposed to be a kind of pilgrimage, as she herself wrote, an attempt to distract herself from personal problems, change the environment, and get to know herself better. On January 26th, she arrived in Los Angeles and checked into the Cecil Hotel, a historic building in the city center that had a dark reputation. Murders, suicides, drug addicts lived there, and serial killers, including Richard Ramirez, stayed there at different times. Initially, Elisa checked into a shared room, but was later transferred to a separate room. Neighbors complained about her strange behavior. The administration does not specify what exactly happened. According to the staff, Elisa was acting unstable, agitated, and seemed afraid of something. Despite this, she was scheduled to check out of the hotel on January 31st and go to Santa Cruz. When her parents did not receive a daily call from her, they began to worry. First, they called the hotel, then the police. By February 1st, Elisa was listed as missing. The Los Angeles police began an investigation. They interviewed hotel employees, reviewed surveillance footage, and inspected the surrounding area. The first few days yielded no leads, no signs of violence, traces, or witnesses who had seen Elisa after January 31st. All of her belongings were left in her room, including medications, a laptop, and clothes. On the fourth day, the police decided to release the elevator footage, in the hope that someone would recognize the girl or report something useful. It was this video that made the Elisa Lam case an international sensation. A surveillance camera recorded how on February 1st at about midnight Elisa entered the elevator on one of the floors. What happened next is inexplicable. The girl presses several buttons at once, looks out into the corridor, hides in the corner of the elevator, and then runs out. For about 2 minutes, she makes strange gestures with her hands, as if talking to someone or trying to hide from someone. During this time, the elevator does not close the doors, as if it is frozen. There is no one in the video except her. The last seconds show her leaving the line of sight. No one has seen her alive since. The video was published by the police on February 14th. It immediately went viral. In a matter of days, millions of people around the world have watched it. Elisa's behavior caused a wave of interpretations. Some talked about psychosis, others about persecution, others about paranormal phenomena. Theories multiplied, from that she was under the influence of drugs to claims that the elevator was possessed. Searches were intensified at the hotel. All floors, attics, basements, and the roof were inspected. However, at first, nothing was found. Meanwhile, hotel guests began complaining of low water pressure, an unpleasant taste, and a smell. On February 19, a technician went up to the roof to check the water tanks. One of the 4 tanks, 3 by 1.2 meters, with a metal lid, contained the body of a woman. It was Elisa Lam. The body was difficult to extract. The tank was elevated. There was no ladder outside. The lid was heavy. The tank itself was partially filled with water. The girl was naked. Her clothes and belongings were floating nearby. No signs of violent death were found. An autopsy performed by the Los Angeles County Medical Examiner showed no traces of drugs or alcohol. Drugs consistent with the treatment of bipolar disorder were found in the blood, but not in toxic doses. Conclusion: drowning, accident. But there were even more questions. How did Eliza get onto the roof, access to which was limited? According to the administration, the doors there were locked and equipped with an alarm. To get there, you had to either use the fire escape from outside the building or go through the utility rooms. No one saw her on the roof. Not a single camera recorded her path up. The lid of the tank is heavy. You can't open it with one hand. And even if we assume that she somehow climbed into the tank, how was she able to close it from the inside? Another strange thing is the condition of the body. It had been in the water for over 2 weeks, but the degree of decomposition was moderate. Some experts claimed that the body behaved atypically for the conditions in which it was found. Although this could be explained by the low temperature of the water and the lack of sunlight, suspicions did not disappear. Theories emerged that Eliza had help getting into the tank. Supporters of this version point to the following: the lack of fingerprints on the lid of the tank, undetected footprints on the roof, as well as anomalies in the video. Some claim that the video from the elevator was edited. Allegedly, at least 1 minute of the fragment was cut out, and the timestamps were blurred. This raised suspicions that someone wanted to hide who else was in the corridor at the time of the incident. The official version is mental illness. Investigators believe that the girl was in a manic phase and could have experienced hallucinations, which explains her behavior. Refusal to take the medications in full dosage could have worsened the condition. However, many consider this an oversimplification. Too many details do not fit into a logical picture. After the official conclusion of accident, skepticism did not disappear. On the contrary, the number of questions increased. Supporters of alternative versions began to analyze the case bit by bit, paying attention to each element that, it would seem, does not fit into the overall picture. The first thing that independent researchers focused on was Eliza's behavior in the elevator. A reanalysis of the video showed that its duration differed from a typical recording. The frames were uneven. The elevator buttons did not work properly, as if the video had been edited. Missing seconds, unclear timestamps, frame shifts. All this made you wonder, what exactly was cut out? Perhaps someone was outside the frame, and they were deliberately removed? The second point is technical access to the roof. According to reports, to get there, you had to open one of the locked doors leading through the service corridor. There was an alarm on the door, connected to the security desk. No hotel employee confirmed that the alarm went off on the night of the disappearance. This means one of 2 things. Either the alarm was not working, or Elisa did not go through that door. But then the question arises, how could she have climbed up to the roof via the external fire escape located on the outside of the building? It is dangerous even during the day, let alone at night. Moreover, the roof was not only difficult to access, but also dangerous. A fall from it would have meant certain death. The third strange thing is the water tank. The tank in which the body was found was elevated, had no ladder, and was covered with a heavy metal lid. Officially, the lid was open when the body was found. However, the technician who found the body claimed in an interview that the tank was closed and he had to lift the lid to see what was inside. This statement was later changed. The autopsy report states that there were no signs of trauma and that Elisa's clothes were in the water separately from her body. Although this is unusual in the confined space of the tank, things would have become entangled. The logical question is, was she already dead when she fell into the water? Or did someone help her get there? Some theories concern the involvement of third parties. It was discussed that Elisa could have been a victim of violence by an employee or a guest. However, the autopsy did not reveal any signs of a struggle, drugs, or sexual assault. But it is important to understand, the body was in the water for about 3 weeks. This could have destroyed a significant part of the possible evidence. The toxicology analysis also did not give a complete picture. Several samples were unsuitable for analysis due to tissue decomposition. That is, the presence of foreign substances is not excluded, it was just not recorded. Among other versions, a game with mysticism. The Cecil Hotel has acquired a bad reputation over the decades. 2 serial killers lived or stayed here, Richard Ramirez and Jack Unterweger. The hotel was the site of many suicides, including jumping from the roof. Some theories suggested supernatural intervention. Some Reddit users claim that the hotel is haunted by a curse or dark energy. These hypotheses, of course, have no evidence base, but they affect the perception and popularity of the case. The official investigation is over. The police found no evidence of foul play. The medical examiner confirmed death by drowning. But there is a hole in the public consciousness, one that dry reports cannot fill. Too many questions, too few answers. What really happened that night? Was it a tragic accident caused by an exacerbation of the disease? Or are there pages in history that have never been solved? The story of Elisa Lam is more than just a death case. It is a mirror of our time, where every internet user can become a detective, where millions of eyes study one video, hoping to notice what the professionals missed, where tragedy turns into myth, where an anonymous girl from Canada becomes a symbol of a mystery that no one can explain.